All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue with section 3.5, the movie that I just finished making about patterns is a very important thing because right here, when you see absolute value of x is less than 8 from the previous video, you should see that this will be set up as a sandwich. Anytime the distance is less than a positive number, this quantity, and in this case it's simply x, this quantity will be sandwiched in between -8 and +8. That's anytime you have absolute value less than a positive number. So you put your two extremes, you put this quantity in the middle, and for a sandwich these signs always point to the left. And the reason is, if you read from the x, this says x is smaller than 8 and x is bigger than -8. So in other words, it's in between. If I drew this on a number line, I would have -8, I would have +8, of course with parens, because there's no equal sign, so no bracket. And if I wanted to write my solution set in interval notation, it would go -8, comma, +8, and that would be my answer. So that is a sandwich, and a sandwich always works. The negative of this, the positive, the exact number itself, this goes in the middle, these point to the left. Sometimes you have to get x alone, but the sandwich sets up the same. Now, this is not a sandwich. If distance is greater than 4.9, that means that you have to stay 4.9 more than 4.9 units away from the origin. Well, remember, if you recall the past video, that is our OR pattern. And basically the way we set it up, this quantity, which is just x, is to the left of the negative number. In other words, if I'm to the left of -4.9, I'm heading toward -infinity, or x is to the right of the positive number. So we still use the negative number and positive number starting with this, but the difference is we put OR in the middle because it is an OR. It's this or this. And this symbol points to the left, this symbol points to the right. So in other words, you're going from tiny tip to tiny tip. Okay? And now if I wrote this out, if I graph this, this would be -4.9, and I'd be going to -infinity, so I would write that as -infinity, comma, -4.9, paren, or becomes union in interval notation. And this portion is everything greater than 4.9 heading out to infinity. And I would write that, I'd finish my union, and I'd write 4.9, comma, infinity. And this, right there, would be my answer to this problem in interval notation. So you've got to learn patterns. If it's less than absolute value is less than a positive number, it's a sandwich. If it's greater than a positive number, it's an OR, where you're going from tip to tip, less than the negative or greater than the positive. And we're done.